Hello, darlings. It's good to see you again, and thanks for joining me for today's video, where I want to talk to you about how you can stealth camp in your van. Now, to be honest with you, I prefer to stealth camp in my van, which I do most of the time, because it's free. Now, occasionally I was at a caravan park or a campground, but most of the time I prefer to stealth camp in my van, because if I were to pay to stay at a caravan park and pay for parking all the time, I'm not going to have enough money left over to live on. That's why I prefer to stealth camp most of the time in my van. And I suggest that if you're on a budget and if you don't have a lot of money, then you're going to need to stealth camp too. Now, I have heard of stories about other van lifers who have either gotten a knock or who have received a fine for stealth camping. However, that hasn't been my case so far. And let's hope it stays that way too. And I think that's because of the stealth van rules that I go by. And that's what I want to talk to you today, is about those stealth camping rules. Okay, so rule number 1 for stealth camping in your van is to always arrive late in the evening and leave early in the morning. That's right. So what I do is I arrive after dark around about 9ish or maybe 10ish, depending. And then I leave about 5 or 6 in the morning. And I suggest that's what you do too. So it doesn't matter where you park, whether you're going to be stealth camping on a residential street or whatever. Always arrive late in the evening, after dark, and leave early in the morning. Okay? So rule number 2 is whatever happens, do not draw any attention to yourself, whether that be making any noise or whatever. Because when your van is parked on the street, you just want it to look like a normal, ordinary, empty van that's parked on the street, don't you? You don't want anyone to know that you're in there. So always be quiet. Don't do anything to draw attention to yourself. So that's rule number 2. Okay, rule number 3 is try to have a stealth van if you can, meaning a plain white van, or you could put a sign on your van, like for example a business sign. And I tell you what, have you seen and heard of those magnetic car signs? Now they're great because you can take them on and off your van. So what you do is, before you find somewhere to park, is you put those magnetic signs on the doors of your vans, on the side of your vans, before you rock up. And then after you leave in the morning, then you can take them off. And in that way, your van will just look like a maintenance van. Okay, now to give you an example, these are my magnetic car signs. Now, on my signs, I've got my YouTube channel name, as you can see. So what I'm suggesting is, you don't have your channel's name. You can, this is a good idea. So what you do is, you might want to get 2 different lots of magnetic signs made up. So what you do is, you get one for your channel, like I have, But then you're also going to need to get another set of magnetic signs made up for your van of some sort of company, whether it be a solar company or a plumbing company or whatever. And by doing that way, all you're doing is making your van look like a maintenance van, look like a work van. And that's a very stealthy van to have. So, people can't say what your van looks like on the inside, can they? So they're not going to know that on the outside of the van, they're going to think it's just a maintenance van because that's what it looks like. They're not going to think or assume, that you have a tiny home in your van with the kitchenette and the dinette and the bed, are they? No, they're not. So I suggest you do that. If you can, use the magnetic signs because they're great because you can take them on and off the van whenever you want to or whenever you need to. Now, my next tip for stealth camping is do all your cooking and cleaning and everything before you get to your destination. So wherever you park, whether it's in a shopping mall or on a residential street or wherever, you don't want to be cooking, cleaning and doing anything like that in your van because you're only going to be using that place as a bedroom for the night. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your cooking and cleaning, whatever that needs to be done before you get there. So when you do get there, you don't have to worry about doing all that because it's already done. All you're going to do is just be using that place as your bedroom. So it's going to use it for sleeping, maybe reading a book, etc. Okay, so my next rule for stealth camping is always be quiet. Do not make any noise. Now, if you're going to be watching a video or a movie or YouTube or whatever on your phone, wear earplugs so that you can hear, but no one else on the outside, can hear, okay? Now, because I'm deaf, I don't worry about that. What I do is I always keep the volume on my phone down, and if I'm watching YouTube or a video, I just have the subtitles on. So that's what I do. So always be quiet. Don't make any noise. Like I said before, don't draw any attention to yourself. And if you do that, well, then you should be fine. Okay, so my next stealth camping tip is plan ahead. Now what you do is you have a little notepad or a notebook just for stealth camping. And by doing this, just meaning you can stay organised. And then you'll know when you can rotate. So what you do is you write down in your stealth camping notepad where you're going to plan to park for that night. And remember to always have a plan B, just in case, because you never know. Because if you get the knock, you'll have another place where you know where you can go to, just in case. Because it always pays to be on the safe side, doesn't it? So what you do is you write down the day, the time, the name of the street, the name of the area that you're in, and then that way you can keep track of everywhere that you have stealth camped. And if you do that, then you will know when you will be able to rotate back to that same spot again. So what I suggest you do is that if you south camp, say, on a residential street, you know you'll be able to go back to that same spot in a few months' time, and you'll be able to stay organised that way, and that's what I do. Okay, so my other and final south camping tip is to always